Frankenstein's Aunt by Rune Pettersson. The Moon Rises Again.
Good evening, Aunt. Here I am with your coffee.
Igor put the tray down on a shabby chair and drew back the curtains in Hannah Frankenstein's bedroom. Hannah Frankenstein raised one eyelid beneath her nightcap. Huh? What's the time?
Nearly 7,
said Igor.
In the evening.
Hannah Frankenstein propped herself up on her elbow. Heavens, then I've slept all day. Where are the others?
Mr. Talbot and Mr. Franz have just gone up to the East Tower to make astronomical observations. Monster is planting violets and pansies around the front door, and the Count has not yet gotten up.
So he got to the coffin before sunrise, then, said Aunt Frankenstein. She waved Igor's offer of sugar away. Igor took a lump himself, heaved up onto a chair, and dangled his legs.
Yes, but only just in the nick of time, as they say. If you remember, we put all the dirty washing in that old coffin the other day.
He peered at her. Hannah Frankenstein sat up in bed. Good gracious, yes, I'd quite forgotten. What did Dracula say? Igor tittered.
He was not at all pleased to find pants and towels in his night lair. I mean, his day lair. He said he had never experienced anything like it in all his life as a vampire.
Oh, well, said Aunt Frankenstein, dipping a crust in her coffee. He can't think he's above the trivialities of everyday life just because he flaps around in that grand manner at night. If he doesn't like it, he'll just have to go elsewhere for his accommodation. And Monster, then? How is he?
Bad, Aunt, bad,
said Igor, sliding down from the chair and limping over to one of the windows.
Look for yourself.
Aunt Frankenstein's bedroom was on the corner of the ground floor, and so faced 2 points of the compass, partly to the east and partly toward the front of the castle. She stretched out her hand for her dressing gown and patted across to the south window, where Igor was holding the curtain back. In the pink April dusk, she saw Monster sitting on the ground, his back against a great oak tree. He looked like a tired child, his huge legs stretched straight out in front of him, and the ragged straw hat down over his nose. The impression of a large child was strengthened by the little trowel he had in his hand. An inquisitive bird was perched on one of his boots, its tail whipping up and down. Heavens above, said Aunt Frankenstein. I wish those big mouths down in the village could see him now. She went back to the bed. Igor, she said, we must have done something wrong when we woke him up. Do you think he's got too little current through those gadgets in his neck?
Yes, I'm beginning to think the thunderstorm wasn't great enough, said Igor. I'm really beginning to think that.
Hannah Frankenstein sat down on the bed, looking both tired and troubled. Igor, she said, I've done something foolish.
Have you? What have you done?
Igor looked like a crafty old hyena, sniffing out something tasty. Last night I promised the villagers that before the summer was over, they would be able to hear Monster reciting poetry by Shelley.
Oh, that's quite something, that is.
Red spots appeared on Hannah Frankenstein's cheeks. When they accused the Frankenstein family of bringing Philistinism to the locality, did you ever hear such a thing? She got up again and had to walk off, her fury on the cold floor. Igor gazed with fascination at her large flat feet and long knobbly toes. I thought I'd show them, she went on, putting her hands on the tiled stove. But I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. That poor thing out there doesn't look as if he could even turn the pages of an anthology. Igor peered out through the south window.
It's clouding over a bit out there, he said. Who knows? Perhaps we'll have a chance to recharge him a little.
We can but hope, said Hannah Frankenstein wearily, looking out through the other window and seeing the moon rise into the sky out of a cloud bank. Dark yellow like a ripe melon. It was not perfectly round, only almost full. Good, she thought at first, until she remembered Talbot's words, that he could be afflicted by his werewolf attacks on the 2 days following the full moon as well. She turned to Igor. Where did you say Talbot was? She said.
Up in the East Tower, said Igor, with Mr. Franz.
And that's the end of that chapter.